I avoided a lot and didn't take necessary risks in the beginning because I was afraid to fail. And now I welcome failure because there are so many lessons learned in failing versus only going after the win.
Are you a corporate escapee and wasting valuable time attempting to figure challenges out on your own? Well, this podcast is for you. We bring you firsthand experiences of guests going through many of the struggles you face each and every day.
We get real with no corporate BS. And now, over to your host, Paul Higgins.
Hello and welcome to Corporate Escapees. Our guest today is someone who fell out of love of their corporate communications role. So they started a side hustle and they had 2 stints of actually leaving and trying to get it off the ground, but they were heavy in debt. Now they run a multi-million-dollar business and their success is inspiring others to do the same. So what I'll do now is hand you over to Abby Walker from Vivian Lou. Welcome, Abby Walker from Vivian Lou to the Corporate Escapees podcast, brought to you by Build, Live, Give. So we're going to get to know lots about you today, Abby, but why don't we start with something that your family or friends would know about you that we wouldn't?
This is a good one. I am the oldest of 4 girls, and my youngest sister and I share the same birthday, 7 years apart. So we consider ourselves twins of sorts, even though I am 7 years older than her.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I actually share the same birthday as my mum.
Really?
Yeah, and
wow.
And my daughter was due on the same day. So we're going to have 3 generations on the same day. And
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the obstetrician actually chose to play golf rather than deliver my daughter on the 5th. So, yeah, she's on the 9th. But, yeah, there's
oh, shoot. He messed everything up.
Yeah. And do you often celebrate? Do you live in a similar area to your sister?
We have on and off. So my sister is in Wisconsin and I am now in Denver, Colorado. So we send each other texts, and my dad thinks it's hilarious. So he posts pictures of us on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But no, we don't really do too big of a celebration. But yeah, it's pretty funny. It makes for a good story, a good quiz question.
Yeah. And have you ever back engineered to see what?
No, I know. We're always like, what is so special about that day or weekend? And we can't figure it out. Yeah. Pretty interesting. Pretty crazy.
That's a great story. So, I know you've had an amazing corporate career and now running a really successful fashion business, but I'd love to hear it from you. Tell us a little bit about your corporate escapee journey.
Sure. So, just kind of the Cliff Notes version. It was in 2012 and I was really kind of struggling with, I kind of had lost my identity. So I had spent the last 15, 16 years really climbing the corporate ladder. I had gotten married, had 2 fantastic kids, but I was just going through the motions. Like I had lost all passion. And so I started to figure out what really excited me. And it was, and always had been and still is, high heel shoes. And so in 2012, I started a blog called Mama's Shoes. In 2014, I was doing some research as it relates to a blog post and stumbled upon a forum where 2 women were talking about an insole called Insolia. I picked up the phone and called the chairman and asked him why I'd never heard of his product. Long story short, he said he was a bunch of MIT engineers trying to market this product to women and didn't know what they were doing. And he handed me the opportunity to become the exclusive distributor, at first in the US and Canada and now worldwide, of this amazing insole designed to empower women to wear high heels 4 times longer without pain.
Brilliant. Well, that's a great journey. And what take me to the moment where you thought, hang on, I am going to make the jump and I am going to run my own business. Sort of take us to that moment. How did you feel?
Sure. So it was a slow burn. So I launched in October of 2014 and I had kept my corporate job. So my husband and I had worked out this arrangement of sorts where I could launch this business, but I was still responsible. When we got married, we agreed that, we were both contributing to our household income. And so he was
Yes.
very nervous for me to jump off out of corporate America into this entrepreneurial journey without having any sort of footing. So I launched it kind of as a hobby business and worked on it at nights and on the weekends. And it really was a struggle. And so I worked full time, and the business did not take off until the fall of 2016. So now during that stint, my husband let me quit for 3 months to try and get the business off the ground. And I failed horribly. And so I had to go back to corporate America with my tail between my legs. But it was interesting because the day that I went back, I knew I wouldn't be in corporate America for long because a store in New York City had called and said that they were placing a PO for me during their holiday season. And I got a call from the Home Shopping Network saying that they wanted to feature our product on air. And so it was kind of like a sign from the universe that, yes, while you failed to get the company off the ground and your first 3-month stint out of corporate America, that I wouldn't be staying back in corporate America for long.
Great. And those, failings or learnings that you had, what are some of the top key ones that you had in those 3 months?
Oh, wow. There were quite a bit. So one, when you look at entrepreneurship, at least when I was starting out in 2014, there were all these models that were kind of masculine, to be quite honest. It was like Gary Vee and, all of these kind of smash it, kill it, go all in, grind it, you have to hustle, all of these sorts of things.
Yes.
And one of my biggest lessons learned was if you don't quit corporate America right away, you can stumble and cartwheel and circle and you kind of do cartwheels and trip and stumble your way through entrepreneurship without that pressure of trying to make it work, because you have that security of a stable paycheck. As much as it may kind of kill you to stay in corporate America, I honestly feel that that's a really healthy approach.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, but one of the things she says is, like, if you hold on to your passion too tightly and expect too much out of it, you end up killing it. And so I kind of view entrepreneurship, or at least when you're starting out, as kind of this like passion project and something that brings you so much joy and so much excitement, and you don't want to put so much pressure on it that it no longer becomes fun. And so that's kind of how I have approached entrepreneurship, and how I've kind of was thankful that I had corporate America to quote unquote rely on as I was getting the company off the ground.
Great. And who helped you along the way? So to go on that, burn and change over, I suppose it was like the side hustle. Who were the people that helped you along the way?
So 2 people were, I consider, kind of my guardian angels. One was, I met her during my 3 months off, my 3-month sabbatical from corporate America. She was she's a sales coach. Ursula Menchez is her name. And I went to one of her free seminars in Minneapolis, and she forever changed the way I look at sales. I was afraid to make the ask. And as an entrepreneur, that's kind of a silly position to be in. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel that way at first,
Yes.
where they're afraid to make the ask and afraid to ask for the sale. And so she did a lot of mindset work with me on how not to look at money in a bad way, or feeling guilty about asking for the sale, feeling worthy about being welcoming abundance, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So she was pivotal. The other gentleman was an EFT practitioner, emotional freedom techniques, and it's that tapping that is becoming popular. But his name is Greg Oldenburg, and I was so incredibly fearful to do this because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't tap." So if you guys Google it, you'll see these places that you tap on your forehead and all this kind of stuff. And so our first couple of sessions, I actually locked myself in my master bedroom, and I was like, God forbid my husband comes home and see me doing this. He will think I've completely lost it. But at any rate, it helped me identify why I was so afraid of being successful. Because at the time, I was more comfortable drowning in debt than I was seeing myself being wildly successful. And so it took a lot of identifying, why that was. And, a lot of it had to do with just memories of childhood and how I viewed money and all of that kind of stuff, and cleared that kind of stuck energy so that I could welcome abundance and not feel guilty or scared or embarrassed about it.
Great. And the tapping solution, I know, is an app that you can get to help implement that. So we'll put that definitely in the show notes. But that is great. Those two key things I think are so critical in one's journey. So the next section is the build section. So when someone asks you, "Hey, Abby, what do you do today?" How do you describe that?
So I say that I am the CEO of a company that sells insoles that empower women to wear high heels 4 times longer without pain. So, I truly believe that a pair of high heels and the right pair of shoes can change your perspective on everything. And so I'm incredibly honored to be able to offer these amazing line of insoles that help women wear the shoes they love without pain, and help them focus more on their dreams and less on their feet.
Great. And having or married to someone that's 5'1". So Linda, if you're listening now, she will go out and be your next customer because she wants to
I
wear
love it.
heels, but
I love it.
finds it very difficult. So her vertical challenge solution may be resolved.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love it. I love it.
yeah, that's brilliant. And what do you know about, I suppose running a business like you've got? What do you know about that many don't?
Well, I'll tell you, when I started out, I knew nothing. So I was in corporate marketing and corporate communications. And so I had very little experience or insight as to what it took to run a company and build a company. And so, I Googled my way through building this business. And where I am now, one of my biggest lessons learned is not to fear failure. So I think I avoided a lot and didn't take necessary risks in the beginning because I was afraid to fail. And now I welcome failure because there are so many lessons learned in failing versus only going after the win.
Great. And what I know you talked about the home shopping network. Was that the first really big kick in your sales, or was there something else that really, built your sales up and got you going in the right direction?
Yes. So this was in January of 2016. I was drowning in debt still. I was still afraid to make the ask. I wasn't even signing my name to the emails I was sending my customers. That's how timid I was. But in 2016, I was on air for the Home Shopping Network and sold out. And then that was January. And then March 2016 and April 2016. And then I went to my husband after that and I said, look, if there is a proven market in just the Home Shopping Network environment, I know that there is a market for this product in the greater United States and Canada, which is where I had the exclusive distributor rights at the time. And so he again gave me another 3 months off and said, go get it done. Go figure it out. And so I was hell-bent to figure out Facebook ads because I had, again, going back to the failure, I had tried and failed Facebook ads. I can't tell you how many times, and I had lost a lot of money because it's very easy to lose money using Facebook ads, but I was determined to figure it out, and I created an ad that I spent $10 a day, and I made $40 a day in sales, and so it was a 4x return on my spend every single day, and incrementally increase that. And at the time, this was late 2016, one of my mentors was like, if you are getting that return, why aren't you spending $100 a day, $500 a day, $1,000 a day? Like why have you not scaled this? And so do not do what I did, but I literally went from $10 a day and upped it to $100 a day. And then after it maintained my cost, my CPA, I bumped it to $500 a day. So, I mean, that's not how you're supposed to scale Facebook ads, but for some reason, there must have been some divine intervention, but it just worked. And so it was because of Facebook ads in September of 2016. I finally figured them out, and I was able to sustain the business. That was also the month where I had the incredible privilege of being featured on The View, which is a talk show. And they have these episodes where it's View Your Deal, where you can get a deal on specific products. And mine was selected to be featured. And so I was making 75 sales a day through my Facebook ads. And in less than 24 hours, thanks to the show, I had 2,500 orders.
Wow.
And so because of that show, I was able to pay off all of my debt and place my next inventory purchase.
Brilliant. And what's your key source of leads today? Is it still Facebook ads?
Still Facebook. I mean, and everyone is saying Facebook ads are dying. You shouldn't invest in Facebook. And there is no better medium to get in front of customers for my product than Facebook. That Facebook is still unquestionably the best place for me.
And what's changed since 2016 and now on how you do Facebook ads?
Sure. And so I don't do my own Facebook ads now. I actually utilize an agency. And one of the reasons why is I can build really good ads, but I don't know how to scale them and still maintain cost, a good CPA. And so I engage a firm to help me do that. But I had to go through a lot of firms in order to find one that was a good fit. But it is a lot of things have changed. So the algorithm is a lot smarter. So I literally let the algorithm run its thing. So I'm like, any woman who has an interest in fashion and shopping between the ages of 28 and 70 plus, just let's find buyers. Let Facebook do its thing and go find the buyers. So
Yes.
the algorithm is a lot smarter, which is fantastic. But I also feel like there are some nuances. You can't use certain words now and whatnot. So there are some challenges, but in general, I'm still a huge fan of Facebook.
Brilliant. And around the profitability of your business, I know you said, you've got yourself out of debt. I think, you're in excess of, high seven figures in turnover now, but how do you improve the profitability of the business as you've grown it?
And that's a really good question. And so I have purposely not grown as fast as I probably could because I am not interested in having investors and I am not interested in having employees. So I have a wonderful suite of contractors that I work for, but I also understand that using contractors instead of employees, I pay a premium for that. And so I am okay with paying a premium because it doesn't jeopardize my peace and freedom. So at the end of the day, top line revenue and profitability is extremely important, but it's not as important as my peace and freedom. And so some of the things that I've been looking at is obviously spend. I am not afraid to test new mediums now, like radio or native ads or affiliates and all of these different kind of avenues and traffic generating activities. But I keep a close eye on those just to make sure that it does make sense for us. It is indeed a profitable venture. And those sorts of things. And then other things are just spend, like how can we look at possibly reducing the cost of our packaging or shipping or, those sorts of levers that can incrementally increase profitability, but without sacrificing kind of the customer experience and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a fine line. But like I said, my peace and freedom takes priority over profitability, like a big profitability number. And I can do that because I don't have investors.
Yeah, that's great. Look, I'm a big fan of owning your own destiny. And you talked about contractors, which I think is a great model as well.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding the right contractors? What if you could give 3 tips on finding the best contractors, what would they
Sure.
be?
One is ask for referrals. So if you know people in the industry or if you know people whose businesses that you admire, reach out to them. Again, I feel like, and I am I am an introvert. And so it's very hard for me to reach out and ask for help and ask for recommendations and ask for referrals. But that is how I have found some of the best partners. And so it can't hurt reaching out to customer or companies that you admire or colleagues that you know and say, hey, who do you recommend, or do you know of anyone in this area that may be a good fit for me? Two is trust your gut. So if something's off, even in your first conversation with them, don't go with them. Don't go too far down the road where you aren't able to go back. And my gut has played a huge role in my journey, and I encourage people to kind of flex that muscle more often than not, because you can't go wrong trusting your gut. And then my third is I never give one contractor too much work. So for instance, someone who let's say my Facebook ads group, they could potentially handle Google AdWords and Bing AdWords and Facebook and SEO and a whole bunch of stuff. And I just go with a contractor for one specific thing. You are tasked with Facebook ads. And so if and when performance slips, I can very easily pull them out of my ecosystem and plug someone back in. And again, this gets back to I am probably paying more for specialists in specific areas than I would, a group that could handle everything. But if performance slips, it's a lot easier to pull out one piece and manage it myself for a while until I find the right contractor to go back in, versus pulling out, a fourth of my entire company and the work that was being done. And now there's a huge gaping hole.
No, that's really smart. And Abby, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face right now in growing your business?
Oh, that's good. Traffic. I always want qualified traffic. And meeting customers' needs. So we have been offering the same line of insoles for, since I launched. And I feel like there's an opportunity to expand the Vivian Lou brand and how to best meet my customers' needs without giving them something that they don't need or whatnot. And so it's figuring out how to make the Vivian Lou brand more impactful to the consumers and to our customers while still kind of, being true to who we've always been.
Excellent. Well, before we go into the next section, I'd like to help people to leverage their most important asset, which is time. So you can go to blgdownload.com. So that's blgdownload.com and get 3 killer tips. And having spent 26 years in sales, 18 of those Coca-Cola, I know my sales CRMs. We use Copper, so it's COPPER. It integrates right into your Gmail inbox, and it is super easy to use. So if you want to find out more about that, go to buildlivegive.com/resources. So the next section, Abby, is the live section. So what are some of the daily habits that help you be successful?
So this one was introduced to me, just a couple of months ago, but it has made such a tremendous impact. And that is a daily gratitude list of 5 things that you are thankful for every morning. And I was never a big journaler. I'm still not a big journaler. So if it were up to me to write it in a notebook, it wouldn't happen. But there is a group, a Facebook group that I belong to that we went through a course together, and now it's like an alumni group. And there are a couple of people in there that post a prompt every single morning on what we're grateful for, 5 things we're grateful for. And it has literally, I think, changed the direction of where I foresee Vivian Lou going. Some other ideas I have brewing in my head. I even manifested a dog in January that my husband said we would never be able to get a dog until one of our cats has passed, and all of a sudden we have this amazing dog in our house. So this gratitude list has literally been a game changer for me. So that's I would say the top one. I would say that's the key. The key
Brilliant.
one.
Well, we've talked about Bill, your husband, a few times here, and I know he's given you 6 months off, etc. But when he's listening to, actually, Bill is listening right now. What would you like to say to him, Abby, about the support he's given you?
I, I am tremendously, tremendously grateful. This has not been an easy journey. It's been a heck of a fun journey. And now I'm at the point now where he and I are both able to kind of reap the rewards of this company. And so it's so fun to have him be my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter. I would say he was an investor, an initial investor, because he gave me time, and he's quote unquote allowed me to put $7,500 on a credit card to start this business. But I would just say, thank you to him, and I'm so excited to see where this journey takes us next.
Great. And I know you've been skiing today with your children, which is
Yes.
fantastic. But what other moments have you been able to spend with your two children that you probably wouldn't have if you're still in corporate?
So one of the things that hurt me the most going to corporate America was putting my kids in daycare. And don't get me wrong, I loved daycare. I think my children are much more socially accepting. I mean, they can sit and talk with adults. They're 7 and 10, but they're very mature beyond their years. And I credit that a lot to their daycare teachers. I think they learned how to cope and had, social coping mechanisms in daycare, but it really killed me that I had to put them in daycare from, 6:30 in the morning till 5:30 at night. It broke my heart. And so one of the things that really I am most grateful for this business is the ability. I walk my kids to school every day, and I pick them up after school every day, and I help them with their homework, and I can take them to their after school activities. And so only on occasion do they go to after school care, and that's when either I'm traveling and Bill's traveling as well, and neither one of us are able to adjust our schedules. But they love it now, the after school program, because they don't have to go every single day. And so that is my kids really were the reason why I started Vivian Lou and looked for an opportunity to leave corporate America so that I could spend more time with them.
Oh, that's brilliant. And the next section is the give section. So what's a community or a charity that you support and why?
So Vivian Lou, as a company, a portion of every sale goes to organizations that help disadvantaged women get back on their feet. And so the two organizations that we support right now are Dress for Success and Women's Bean Project, which is a local project out of Denver, Colorado. But we are really committed to helping women, like I said, kind of get back on their feet and start their own journeys and kind of rediscover who they are. And so we're incredibly honored to give a portion of every sale to those organizations.
That's brilliant. And the last section is the action section. So I'll ask you some questions and get some rapid fire responses. So the first one is, what are your top 3 productivity tips?
Sure. I would say, first one, make a to-do list. Second one, put a box in front of that item and mark it off with a check mark or scratch it off the list. Because as soon as, even just little ones, like return an email, because as soon as you start checking things off that list, the more momentum you get to get going on your to-do list. I would say trust your gut. Number two is absolutely trust your gut. And you become, as you flex that muscle more often, you're able to make quicker decisions, which leads, I think, to more productivity. And then this is the third one, and I think it's pretty funny, but dance. So if you're ever in a rut and you don't seem to be making momentum, turn whatever music gets you dancing and just dance, jump up and down, shake off all the kind of the stale energy, and you'll become much more productive.
Great. And do you tap and dance at the same time?
I do not.
That's brilliant. Well, the next one is, what are some favorite apps or software that you use to run your business?
Oh, Yatpo. Oh, so I'm on Shopify. So I run an e-commerce business on Shopify, which I absolutely love. Yatpo is our review system, which is absolutely brilliant. I've just been introduced to something called User Gems, which is where you can look up your customers' kind of social media profiles and see, how active they are on social media and potentially work with them on partnerships or brand ambassadorships or whatnot. And I would say my most important, most impactful business tool is Google. And I know that sounds silly, but I have literally grown my business using Google and Googling things. And a lot of stuff that may come up may sound hokey or like BS or whatnot. And again, this gets back to trusting your gut, but there's so much gold to be mined in people's YouTube interviews or blog posts or whatnot. And I know that it takes time, but when you're first starting out, at least I could spend the time and not necessarily the money to mine that expertise. And that quickly changes as you grow your business. You will hire out expertise so that you have more time. But it's a great tool. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And what are some podcasts that you love to listen to or recommend?
Yeah, Entrepreneur on Fire. That's a good one. How they built, or how it's built, or how they built it. I forget what it's called.
Yeah,
but
How I Built This.
Yes. Oh man, I love that one. And then I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'm totally blanking on the name of them right now, but it's like mindset podcast, because I truly believe that mindset is one of the most important things that an entrepreneur can work on. And while it's not tangible, I think mindset makes the biggest impact on someone's journey.
Brilliant. And the last question is, what impact do you want to leave on this great world, Abby?
Oh man, I want to inspire women who are stuck in their quote unquote good life, whether that's corporate America or something else, to take the first step or their next step toward their something more. And whatever that more is, whether it's starting their own company or, pursuing, becoming the mayor of their city, or, just exercising more, whatever their something more is, to take incremental steps towards that, because I think all women deserve it.
Brilliant. Well, look, it's been great having you on. I also recommend all listeners go and grab Abby's great book. It's Strap on a Pair, and it's available on Amazon. And we'll put the links to that, and we'll also put the links to everything else that Abby's mentioned in the show. But Abby, well done for you. I know Bill and the kids and the lifestyle you've created is exceptional from you taking that first step. We're all grateful that you've done that, and really loved hearing your story today on Corporate Escapee podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thanks, Abby. Bye.
Bye.
I really enjoyed that conversation with Abby, and I can't believe that she's an introvert. She just was so eloquent in what her journey has been. But there's three key things to take out. So one is no employees and investors. I really like that, how she's taken complete control. The second is have specific contractors so you can swap out underperformers. I think that was a really insightful point. And the last one is there is still money in Facebook ads. So you can get these key learnings and also every link in the show notes at buildlivegive.com/podcast. If you're a corporate escapee and you'd love to share your story, just email us at support@buildlivegive.com. But please take action and make an impact on the world.
Thank you for listening to the Corporate Escapees podcast, brought to you by Build, Live, Give. If you would like to join a community of like-minded peers, please visit www.buildlivegive.com. Until next time, thanks for listening and be brave.